today's video, I want to share with you what makes up my Apple ecosystem. Everything from my phone to computer to things like my Magic Trackpad. So I just wanted to share things both that are older and newer. So maybe if you're looking at one of these products, it can help you decide whether it can fit into the kind of work that you're doing. Down below, you will see all the different chapters. So if you don't want to watch the entire thing, you can jump to the chapter that you really want to see. First and foremost, I want to talk about the M1 Pro MacBook Pro that I've been using since it launched. I previously was using an M1 Mac Mini, which was powering my entire setup, but once I wanted to gain a little bit more mobility and a little bit more freedom, I switched to the M1 Pro MacBook Pro, and till this day, it has yet to hiccup in any manner. Now, the great thing about picking up an M1 Pro even today is going to be the fact that one, you'll get it at a much cheaper price. So I bought it when it was brand new. So I obviously paid the full price and I have the base model spec. But if you go out there today, you can probably find something that's even more beefed up than my base model configuration and still get a bargain price simply because it is now 2 years old. I record with a Sony camera in log format, so the footage is really intense, and not once have I had any trouble editing that footage with this laptop, whether it's here at this setup or on the move. I run everything off of an external 4 TB drive that I picked up from Best Buy, and what's nice about that is that I didn't have to bump up the storage when I was buying it from Apple, because as you and I know, that can be very, very expensive. I also have iCloud, so that way any desktop files that I have here, any folders, I can access these on the move with my iPad mini, which we'll get to later. Overall, what I've loved about the M1 Pro MacBook Pro is that it's got plenty of power to do everything I need to do, but it gives me that mobility. So if you're looking for a new MacBook, I really suggest taking a look at an M1 Pro used MacBook Pro, so that way you can save some money which you can put towards accessories. Now, lastly, speaking of accessories, as you might have seen in the B-roll of this video, I've got my MacBook Pro encased in an Andar leather case. This not only protects it from scratches and normal wear and tear that you might get when on the move, but it also looks so good. I love leather products, and so just being able to have something that is aging really nicely on my MacBook Pro is a great plus. So if you want to look at that, I will have that link down below in the description. Next up, I want to talk about the Magic Keyboard. Now, I have the variant which has the numeric keys on the side. The reason I love this is because I use numbers quite frequently, so having these keys right here is just really convenient. Also, this makes the keyboard wider, and because I have such a wide monitor, when this is sitting on the desk, it just looks aesthetically pleasing. Now, speaking of the keys, I love the sound on them. I love the travel. And funny story about this keyboard, when I was initially setting it up, I put it on my chair for my first desk setup and I forgot it was there and I sat on it. So I don't know if it's going to show up on camera, but it does have a slight bend to it. Now, I was able to bend it back into shape, but yeah, speaking of durability and the keys, it's done well, even though I sat on this. And now I've almost had this for 4 years, so it's still doing a great job and functioning as it should. So this is more so of one of those things that you buy once and then you don't really have to worry about it. Next up is going to be the Magic Trackpad. I love, love, love this product. As you'll see on my desk, I don't have a mouse because when I first got a 16-inch MacBook several years ago when I started this channel, that time I really loved the trackpad on that MacBook, and because of that MacBook, I eventually got this and I haven't used a mouse since. This allows me to be really precise, so when I'm doing video editing, that's where this really comes in handy. Being able to pinch in, pinch out, move around, And then on top of that, you have so many different gestures. Like if you have a bunch of windows open, as you'll see, I have an ultra wide monitor. So sometimes I have a bunch of stuff open, and if I just need to throw it all away, I can quickly just swipe all my fingers up and it goes away. So this trackpad just works really, really well for me. And I just haven't used a mouse. So I know a lot of people use a mouse, but for me, this trackpad just gets the job done. Now, real quickly, I want to take a pause for the sponsor of this video. This is the Shargeek 170 24,000 milliamp power bank. That's a lot of milliamps, and this thing has plenty of juice to keep all your devices charged. What I love about this design is that it's transparent, so you can see everything that's going on inside, and you have this nice display which shows you the charge time remaining, the output levels. And speaking of outputs, this can do a max output of 140 watts. So even if I need to charge my MacBook, I can do that. Speaking of charging, I was charging my camera and my iPad mini 6. Both were really low on battery, and so I was able to charge both of them up and still have a good 65% left on this power bank, which really shows that this has plenty of juice to keep my devices charged on the move. In terms of charging, you've got two USB-C in and out ports, and then you've also got a USB-A. I like that because USB-A is just disappearing from devices, so seeing that here is really useful because I still do use USB-A cables. Now, in order to charge this, you can use any of the USB-C in ports, so just plug in a cable there and continue charging with the other two ports. I've actually got a trip coming up soon, so I'm going to be taking this with me because this has plenty of juice to keep all my devices charged on the go. If you want to check this out for yourself, they do have other capacities available. So they have smaller power banks and larger ones. I think this for me is a very suitable size. It comes with this travel pouch and then also a fast charging USB-C cable. So I really like that. If you want to look at this or pick one up for yourself, I will link it down below in the description. And thank you to Sharge for sponsoring a portion of this video. Now, the next product is going to be my AirPods Max. And for those of you that watch this channel, you know that I use these mainly at my desk setup when I'm editing these YouTube videos I make, simply because the sound on these is amazing and it helps me pick up on any unwanted sounds that I wouldn't want in my video. Now, when I initially got these, I didn't plan on keeping them. I got them at launch and I too was like, I don't know if I want to spend this much money on a pair of headphones, but these, from their comfort to their styling to how they just blend in with all my different devices, whether I'm here or whether I'm traveling, these have been a great pair of headphones, and the price itself has really paid for it over the course of time. I often say this, that if you are going to be buying something that is a bit on the pricier side, you have to remember that it's going to be something that's going to stick with you several years. For example, Apple Watch Ultra is a great example of that. It's pricey, but this is something that you're not going to be upgrading all the time. So if you're really looking for a good pair of headphones that are going to give you that superior sound, great noise cancellation, the AirPods Max are awesome. And quite frankly, the only thing I hated about them was this case, but I have them wrapped up in these Pitaka shells. So that's really nice. They have a nice aramid fiber weave to them. They protect the outer casing, and at the same time, they look really good. Now, for those moments when I'm on the move, this brings me to my next favorite product, which is the AirPods 3. I initially had the AirPods Pro, but I didn't really find myself using noise cancellation because the place where I mainly use these is when I'm in the car and I need to take a phone call. So noise cancellation wasn't really a big thing for me. So that's why I went to the budget-friendly AirPods 3. I love their fit. They fit really nicely in my ears. I know for some people that might be different, and the AirPods Pro and their different sizes might be better for you. But for me, at the price point, these are a great pair of AirPods that I can just easily carry with me on a day-to-day basis, meanwhile keeping the AirPods Max here at this desk. Now, another favorite product of mine when I'm on the move is my trusty iPad mini 6. I have the smart cover on here, so you just flip it over and it turns on. What I love about the iPad mini 6 is, I had the iPad Pro, and I know that Apple just launched their new iPad Pros, but for me, the laptop can do everything that I need it to do, and the iPad is more so of that in-between device. And the iPad mini 6's size and form factor is just so comfortable. Like, as you can see, it's just in one hand, and I often just flip this over, hold it in my hand, and I can, whether I'm playing a game or whether I'm reading something, watching something, this is that great companion. Because my daily driver phone, which we're about to get to, is the 13 mini, and that screen size is obviously smaller. So when I do have to watch videos or consume content on the go, the iPad mini 6 is just a wonderful, wonderful iPad, and it reminded me of the initial iPad and what the iPad was actually supposed to be. Instead of us trying to force it to be this computer and attach all these accessories, because if you take an iPad, you add the keyboard, you add the mouse, and you add all these things to it, well, isn't it practically just a MacBook now, right? So for me, this form factor and just having a device that kind of serves in between the MacBook and the phone, the iPad mini 6 is a wonderful device. I've done dedicated reviews for this, so I will link those if you want to see it to get more in detail as to what I absolutely love about this iPad. Talking about companions, let's move over to my daily driver iPhone, which is the iPhone 13 mini. What I love about this iPhone is, again, phones over the course of years are just getting larger and larger, and this took me back to the years of the iPhone 5 and 5S, which were my favorite simply because of their slim profile, their design, their compact form factor. This brings all of that, but then at the same time, this also gives you a bunch of features. This has a great processor inside. The camera is wonderful. Speaking of camera, I just recently bought my Sony camera that is filming me right now because my channel's been growing, and so I want to be able to produce higher quality content. But before that, the 13 mini, the 12 mini, my iPhone SE, those were the phones responsible for a lot of the video content that you saw here on this channel. And often when I would get that comment that would be like, hey, what camera are you using? And I'd be like, it's the 13 mini or it's the 12 mini. That would just bring a smile to my face because that's how great the camera is. It's not just about the specs on paper, but it's more of how something practically fits into your life. And this is just such a practical device. Whether I have to text people on the move, whether I have to take phone calls, the only downside with this phone that I've said in my dedicated reviews is its battery life. But if you can get past that, this will really help you just have a phone that is more comfortable to use. I know it's hard to come by now. It's really hard to find, but if somehow you can get your hands on the 13 mini, or if you already have one, drop a comment down below because this is a wonderful, wonderful device. Lastly, I want to talk about the watch on my wrist, which is the Apple Watch Ultra. I had a Series 4 and I jumped straight to the Apple Watch Ultra because, frankly speaking, over the years, those minor upgrades that you get with each series upgrade is not sufficient enough for me to actually make a jump. I was really waiting for a change, and this Apple Watch Ultra, with its larger display, its design, it's just absolutely beautiful. It works the way I need the Apple Watch to work, tracks my fitness, and I have a lot of notifications turned off because I don't want my wrist constantly buzzing with different notifications, this message, this email, etc. I only have really useful notifications turned on here, but I love the fact that I have an easy to read display. So in those moments where I do need to message someone back or actually look at something on my watch, the display size is great and it works really, really well. I really like the Apple Watch Ultra. And again, like I mentioned before with the AirPods Max, this is one of those devices that you buy once and then it goes years and years with you. So the price pays for itself over the course of time. If you're looking for an Apple Watch Ultra, I would suggest going for the standard Ultra instead of the Ultra 2 because you'll save a lot of money. And like I mentioned before, you can use that extra money towards accessories. Speaking of accessories, I've had this Milanese loop for as long as I can remember, and it's just held up really well. And this by far is one of those bands that I use on a regular basis. I highly recommend the Apple Watch Ultra. It's been great for me, and I really think that if you get this for yourself, it's a great watch to have. So there you go. That's all my Apple devices I currently use in my system. I really like all of these. They work well for me. I'm all about practicality. I don't care about the latest and greatest, but what I do care about is just getting the things I need done. And these devices all help me do that. Let me know down below in the comments what your setup is like. What are you currently using? Because it's always fun to find out what other people are using to get their different workflows, complete and everything. If you enjoyed this video, please just do me a favor and give it a thumbs up because it helps show this and other videos on my channel to more audiences and helps this channel grow. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Take care of yourself, and like always, I will see you in the next video.